Hi guys, it's me, Arden Lee. Today's video tackles a subject that was suggested by one of the members of the Repatterning Parlor, and that is the group that I moderate on Facebook. So by the way, if you haven't yet come and checked it out, go ahead and look at the link in the description box, which will send you over there. If you are enjoying these videos and you want more resources, more support, and maybe to make a couple new friends along the way, come and join us. Every once in a while in that group, I will put up a post that's a thread for suggestions for these videos that I create. And this topic comes from one of those suggestions on one of those threads. So the topic of today's video is someone asked, how do I deal with toxic or negative people in my social circles, short of just creating a whole new friend group? I feel like you guys already know what I'm going to say. This is a tough one because at some point, if this is what you're choosing, at some point you're going to have to acknowledge the fact that you are choosing to give your energy and your bandwidth to managing friendships and relationships with toxic and negative people, rather than being willing to create a new one, a new friend group full of people who have healthier habits, who treat you with respect, who show up for you and create with you in the vibe and energy that is going to nourish and fulfill and sustain you. At some point, we have to acknowledge that we're making a choice, right? And what does that choice lead to? That choice typically leads to, we can maybe lower our expectations. You know, we can say, well, I know I can't count on this person to show up for me. I know that, you know, they came over to my house and they raided my fridge and they left my house a mess, but whatever, that's just the way that they are. We can't change people, right? So at some point we have to acknowledge that we're making a choice to just deal with that. And there's no way to deal with that that's fun or healthy or productive. And it's going to take our energy dealing and managing with people who are not respecting our boundaries, with people who are creating chaos in our lives, stirring up drama. And at some point we need to acknowledge that if we're going to stay in that situation, we're making a choice to stay in that situation. And it is eating up a whole bunch of our energy that we could be putting toward more productive friendships and toward more productive work, creative work, building the lives that we want to build for ourselves, right? There's a saying that you become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. We don't like to think of that as true. We like to think that we are our own people. But the more that we see evidence in the world of how people gel together in social groups and how their energy rubs off on one another, we realize that there's a lot of truth to it. Not only that, but you'll see the truth to this when you try and improve your circumstances and you try and do better for yourself than the other people around you are doing, and they'll try and pull you back down. I've seen this happen all the time, not only with myself, but with my clients, you know, especially with my clients, because they'll join the Repatterning Project to get on a real fast track to their health and happiness. And all of a sudden people around them will be like, who do you think you are? All of a sudden, I don't recognize you anymore. What, you think you're better than us? You think that, like, what's going on with you? I don't even know who you've become anymore. Because choosing your own happiness over a situation that is no longer serving you will look like betrayal to someone who is trauma bonding with you or attempting to trauma bond with you, right? If you've decided that you no longer want to live in the negativity, which often is a trauma bond, which often is people saying, hey, yeah, we're all fucked up in the same way. So that creates some sort of camaraderie. That may or may not be true in every single situation, but it's certainly a common pattern. And when someone tries to rise above that, they get pulled back down, or at least the people around them try to pull them back down. Eventually, you've just got to break free and cut it off, and that's tough, right? But we see this all the time. If you think that you are not the average of the 5 people that you hang out with most, try making a radical change and see what happens, right? I think the real question to ask here is, what is so terrifying about creating a new friend group that dealing with toxic and negative people seems like the better option? We may feel loyalty, we may feel attachment, right? Attachment is a rough one. We may even genuinely love them. But ultimately, it's our job to love ourselves first. And loving ourselves means having standards and boundaries for how we expect to be treated. And they're not personal. There are certain requirements for being a friend to any of us, and they vary from person to person, you know? Some of mine are reliable communication, you know? That's a good one, right? If someone's always flaky, I'm like, this is not working for me. This doesn't feel good. I want to really see and believe in what they're doing in the world, you know? That's, I want to be able to, if I'm going to choose to spend my time with someone, I want to feel inspired by them, you know? I want their presence to energize me. I want to feel excited for them about what they're working on, you know? If someone isn't doing that, it doesn't make them a bad person. It maybe just means that they're not right for friendship with me. It's fine. It's nothing personal. It's not a reflection, you know? What else do I need from friendship, you know? What are those things? What are your bottom lines? And the irony, of course, being that even if you desperately want the people around you to lift up and not be so negative and toxic anymore, the only way you can ever do that is by drawing that bottom line. Because if you're unwilling to walk away, people will still keep stepping on you. If you are unwilling to say, no, this is too much, I don't want to put up with this anymore, I'm done, then there will be people in your life who will call your bluff, and they'll keep treating you in the same way that they always have. It's really up to us as individuals to know our needs and boundaries and our standards and to enforce them. Now, here's what's interesting. When you start enforcing your needs and boundaries from that place of centeredness, from that place where it's not personal, it's just, hey, it's just, you must be this tall to ride, that's it. You'd be surprised how many people around you suddenly start getting their shit together because they know that you're serious. That's important. Ultimately, we want to ask ourselves these questions. Why? If we have one life to live on this planet, maybe we have more, who knows? We only have one right now. We have one life to live on this planet. Why do we want to spend it surrounded by toxic or negative people? What's so scary about starting a new friend group? There are a lot of people that I work with who have very legitimate fears that if they enforce their boundaries, that they would lose everybody. To which I respond, there are 8 billion people on the planet. Plenty of them have the same needs and boundaries that you do, and they will be overjoyed to have your friendship. If we keep lowering our standards because we're afraid of losing people, we're constantly going to be a slave to that fear. If we are unwilling to walk away from a dynamic that is unhealthy for us, then there's nothing to stop it from perpetuating itself. And you can try and spend your energy dealing or managing or whatever, but that's energy that you're not spending creating friendships that you don't have to deal with and manage. Why do you want to deal with this when you could not? Oftentimes when we go through this work, people will experience a radical shift in their social circles. That's why I especially like doing it in groups, because I like for people to be able to go on this journey together and know that there are other people out there like them. But if they're not geographically close, just seeing examples of other people who are on these same journeys is enough, most times, to give someone hope that they can find people who are more local to them to have that same kind of friendship with. We can increase our energy, we can increase our bandwidth, although that in itself takes energy and bandwidth. But at some point we want to look at why we're spending so much of it dealing with people who aren't making the same considerations for us in return. Why would you want tips for dealing with people who aren't asking for tips on how to be a better friend to you? That's a tough one. I've had to ask myself that question, and sometimes it took a lot of months for me to really be able to internalize it and to make a change. Why am I bending over backwards so much for someone who's not even thinking about my needs? Why am I making excuses for people who aren't making excuses for me? That's the tough part, right? The only shortcut is doing the work. There are no shortcuts. The only shortcut is doing the work. But the nice thing about being able to enforce your needs and your boundaries is that that is something that will go with you for the rest of your life. And it'll be easier and easier and easier to make new friendships. It'll be easier and easier and easier to remain in that same state of wanting healthfulness and positivity, you know? Of wanting to share in co-nurturance and mutual respect. The more you do that and the more that you hold to it, the more you'll attract more and more people who have those same values too. And I can assure you, there's probably someone out there right now who is asking that same question, who would love to have someone like you as a friend. But you'll never be able to find that person if you're spending all of your energy dealing with people who are being toxic and negative toward you. We are the only ones who can decide how we are treated. We are the only people who can decide what we will put up with and what we will walk away from. No one else is going to do that for us. It's kind of a sad realization, but no one is going to treat us better than we allow them. Or if they do, it'll be kind of awkward. We won't know how to receive something like that because we won't be used to it. And we'll end up pushing those people away because we just don't understand how to deal with all of that abundance because we're so busy Aikidooing all the negativity around us that it won't feel right. So I really encourage you, if you're asking yourself this question, yeah, it sounds cruel saying, well, am I supposed to just leave my friends? But it's crueler to you to say, are you supposed to keep putting up with this from the people who are supposed to be the most supportive of you? If they need your friendship all that badly, they can treat you better. And if they do, then great. They can come back. Again, it's not personal. But nobody is going to enforce that if we don't do it for ourselves. Thank you guys for watching. Hope this was helpful. I'll see you next time.